I'm Dr. Emma Collins, a biomedical scientist with a PhD in biomedical science, and I see a huge disconnect in how we approach recovery. We've been told for years that omega-3 supplements are the gold standard for muscle repair. Yet so many of us still wake up feeling sore, tired, and like our bodies just aren't rebuilding the way they used to. So we ask the question, what are we missing? The answer, it turns out, is not about adding more protein or another fish oil capsule. Our research pointed to your body's internal clock. And here's the crucial part. Taking them before you sleep can fundamentally transform how you to a far more elegant truth, a secret hidden into overlooked vitamins. Not just as nutrients, but as genetic antibody rebuilds tissue, you rest. I'm Dr. Emma Collins, a biomedical scientist with a PhD in biomedical science, specializing in nutrition, aging, and longevity. So, if you've been followers that command your body to repair itself while you sleep, I'm talking about vitamin D and vitamin B12. But all the rules but still feel like your recovery is stalled. If you're not waking up feeling stronger than the day before. Here's the real kicker. The breakthrough isn't just what they are, but when you stay with me. If this resonates with you at all, just do me a quick favor and let me know in the comments where This simple timing shift aligns with your body's natural rhythm to unlock a level of recovery you may not have felt in your watching from. And make sure you subscribe, because you are going to want to hear what comes next. All right, let's start with the first big question we need to answer. We need to decode the role of omega-3 seconds, the supporting actor, not the star of the show. For decades, if you've walked into any health food store or even a local pharmacy, the bottles of omega-3 fish oil are probably front and center. We've seen them on morning talk shows, read about them in magazines, and maybe our own doctor has recommended them. And let me be clear, this reputation is not entirely undeserved. Omega-3 fatty acids, particularly the two famous ones you might have heard of, EPA and DHA, are absolutely critical for our health. They are masters at managing inflammation, they are essential for brain health, and they keep the membranes of our cells flexible and healthy. All of that is true, and I would never suggest otherwise. They are a foundational piece of the wellness puzzle. But when we talk about the specific, active process of rebuilding muscle tissue overnight, the act of repairing the tiny, microscopic tears that happen after a day of walking, gardening, or playing with the grandkids, that is where we have given omega-3 seconds a job they were never designed to do. Think about what happens when you exert yourself. Your muscle fibers stretch and strain, and they sustain very small amounts of damage. This is a good thing. It's a natural signal that tells your body, hey, we need to build this area back stronger. In response to this signal, your body initiates a temporary and controlled inflammatory response. It's like sending a team of emergency responders to the site of the damage. This is where omega-3 seconds perform their role beautifully. They act like the calm, experienced fire chief on the scene. Their job is to manage the chaos. They ensure the inflammatory response doesn't get out of hand and become chronic, which is a state we want to avoid at all costs. They help to cool the flames, reduce the swelling, and essentially create a safe and orderly environment. So yes, they are incredibly important for reducing that next-day soreness and stiffness that we all know so well. They make the recovery process feel more comfortable. They are the cleanup crew, the peacekeepers. They prepare the ground for the real work to begin. But here is the critical distinction. After the fire chief and the firefighters have done their job and the area is safe, they go home. They do not pick up a hammer or a blueprint. They do not pour concrete or install new wiring. The actual rebuilding, the construction of new, stronger muscle tissue, requires a completely different team with a completely different set of tools. That team is the construction crew. And the tools they need, the nuts and bolts and raw materials for the job, are micronutrients. Specifically, vitamins and minerals that act as cofactors for the enzymes that do the heavy lifting of repair. This isn't just a convenient analogy. It's precisely what the science shows us. A significant study published in the highly respected Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition looked directly at this question. Researchers found that while omega-3 supplementation did indeed reduce the markers of inflammation and post-exercise soreness in participants, it did not, on its own, significantly increase the rate of muscle protein synthesis. Muscle protein synthesis, that's the scientific term for the actual process of rebuilding muscle. The omega-3 seconds made people feel better, but they weren't directly triggering more muscle growth. In stark contrast, other studies focusing on nutrients like vitamin D have shown a direct link. They've demonstrated that vitamin D can directly stimulate the growth of muscle fibers by activating a specific receptor inside the muscle tissue itself. It's like the foreman on the construction site giving the direct order to start building. Omega-3 seconds calm the environment, but vitamin D flips the switch that says go. Another crucial factor that is often overlooked is timing. Omega-3 seconds are systemic. That means they work throughout your body over long periods. You take them with a meal, they get absorbed, and their benefits accumulate over time by improving your overall inflammatory balance and cellular health. Their effect isn't really tied to a specific time of day, but the nutrients that actually power the rebuilding machinery, those operate on a much stricter schedule. A schedule dictated by your body's internal clock. The activity of the enzymes involved in energy metabolism and repair, particularly those that depend on vitamin D, B12, and magnesium, changes dramatically throughout the 24-hour cycle. Their activity peaks during sleep, when your body is in its dedicated repair phase. So, when we focus exclusively on omega-3 seconds for recovery, we're essentially just oiling the hinges of a very complex machine while forgetting to supply the electricity that actually makes it run. We are tending to the environment, but ignoring the engine. The omega-3 seconds smooth out the process, but vitamins like D and B12 are what actually power the regeneration. It's a crucial difference, and understanding it is the first step toward unlocking a much more effective way to recover and rebuild night after night. Now, this brings us to one of the most misunderstood yet vital nutrients in this entire story. Let's talk about the true conductor of this nighttime recovery orchestra. Let's talk about vitamin D. When most people hear vitamin D, two things usually come to mind: sunshine and strong bones. For generations, that's been the public health message, and it's a good one. Vitamin D is essential for helping our bodies absorb calcium and maintain skeletal health. But in the last couple of decades, science has revealed a story that is so much deeper, so much more profound. It turns out that vitamin D isn't just a simple nutrient. It functions as a powerful steroid hormone inside our bodies, a master regulator that controls the expression of hundreds, if not thousands, of our genes. And some of its most important work happens in our muscle tissue while we sleep. Let's zoom in to the cellular level to understand what's really going on. Inside every single one of your muscle cells, there are tiny docking stations called vitamin D receptors, or VDRs for short. You can think of these receptors as keyholes that are connected to the master blueprint of the cell, your DNA. When you have enough vitamin D circulating in your system, it acts like a key. It travels to the muscle cell, finds that VDR keyhole, and fits perfectly inside. The moment that key turns, it sends a signal directly to your DNA. It essentially unlocks a specific set of instructions, the blueprints for building and repairing muscle. It tells the cell to ramp up the production of new proteins, the very building blocks of your muscle fibers. It fine-tunes the way your muscle cells handle calcium, which is essential for strong, coordinated contractions. And it even influences the health and number of your mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside the cell. In simple terms, when vitamin D levels are optimal, it's like a constant, clear signal telling your muscles, build, repair, strengthen, grow. When those levels are low, which is unfortunately the case for a huge portion of the American population, especially older adults, that signal becomes weak and staticky. The instructions get lost. Muscle repair slows down, fatigue sets in, and our overall strength and resilience can begin to decline. Now, this is where the element of timing becomes so incredibly important. Why does taking vitamin D at night make such a difference? Because the entire process is designed to work in harmony with your body's natural circadian rhythm, your 24-hour biological clock. The expression of those vitamin D receptors, The number of keyholes available in your muscle cells isn't constant. It fluctuates throughout the day and night. It's highest during the night, when your body is naturally primed for repair. Groundbreaking research from esteemed institutions like the University of Copenhagen has shown that vitamin D metabolism is closely intertwined with melatonin, the hormone that governs our sleep-wake cycle. As evening approaches and the sun goes down, your brain begins to produce melatonin. This is the signal that tells every cell in your body to shift gears, to move from daytime energy expenditure to nighttime restoration and repair. Vitamin D acts as a crucial partner to melatonin in this process. It helps modulate the flow of calcium ions into muscle cells, a critical step that must happen for those deep, overnight repairs to occur efficiently. When you have sufficient vitamin D available during this critical nighttime window, it synergizes with the peak in melatonin and your body's natural release of growth hormone. This creates the perfect storm for muscle regeneration. This isn't just a theory. A fascinating study published in the journal Nutrients in 2022 put this idea to the test. They took a group of individuals and had some take their vitamin D supplement in the morning, while others took it in the evening. The results were remarkable. The group that took vitamin D in the evening experienced significantly improved markers of muscle recovery. And even more impressively, they had higher measurements of morning strength compared to the morning group. The hypothesis is that providing the key vitamin D right at the moment the body is making the most keyholes, VDRs, available, creates a powerful, synergistic effect that you simply don't get at other times of the day. Here's a simple way to picture it. During the day, your muscles are in performance mode. They are contracting, generating force, burning fuel, and breaking down. They are at work. At night, they are supposed to switch into rebuild mode. They are in the repair shop. Vitamin D acts as the foreman of that night shift repair crew. It's the conductor of the orchestra, coordinating exactly when and how the muscle cells should repair themselves, guided by the hormonal signals of the night. Without enough vitamin D, or if it's provided at the wrong time, that signal from the foreman can be weak, delayed, or missed altogether. The repair work is slow, inefficient, and incomplete. For the best possible results, it's a wise strategy to pair your evening vitamin D with a source of healthy dietary fat. Because it's a fat-soluble vitamin, it needs fat to be absorbed properly. This doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as taking it with your dinner if it includes things like avocado, salmon, or olive oil, or even with a small handful of almonds or walnuts before bed. This simple step ensures that the key is not only present at the right time, but is also properly delivered to the lock. The key takeaway here is profound. Vitamin D is not just for your bones. It is a powerful hormonal regulator of your muscle recovery cycle. And when timed correctly, it can dramatically amplify how your body rebuilds and strengthens itself night after night while you sleep. Now, if vitamin D is the conductor setting the tempo for muscle repair, we need to talk about the other key player in our nighttime orchestra. We need to talk about the one keeping every engine in the entire system running smoothly. It's time to explore the powerhouse that is vitamin B12, the fuel technician for your cells. Vitamin B12 is one of the most underrated yet essential vitamins when it comes to muscle regeneration, energy, and the fundamental health of our cells. Most people associate B12 with one word: energy. We hear about B12 shots for a quick boost or supplements to fight fatigue. But very few people understand why it's so crucial for energy, and more importantly, how this ties directly into rebuilding your body while you sleep. The truth is, vitamin B12 sits at the very heart of the biochemical pathways that allow your muscles to rebuild, your brain to function clearly, and your cellular power plants, the mitochondria, to recharge every single night. Let's look at what's happening at the cellular level again. Vitamin B12 is a required cofactor for two critically important processes in the body. The first is called methylation, and the second is mitochondrial energy production. Let's start with methylation. It sounds like a complicated scientific term, but the concept is actually quite simple and incredibly powerful. Methylation is the process of attaching a tiny chemical tag, called a methyl group, to our DNA, proteins, and other molecules. You can think of these methyl groups as little sticky notes, or highlighters. Your body uses them to give instructions to your cells. A methyl group attached to a gene can tell that gene to turn on, or it can tell it to turn off. It is the master system that controls which genetic instructions are read and which are silenced. This process is happening billions of times a second all over your body, and it controls everything from your mood to, you guessed it, muscle growth and repair. Without enough vitamin B12, this entire methylation cycle slows down. The instructions get blurry. DNA repair becomes sloppy and inefficient, and the signals for muscle recovery can stall out completely. At the same time, inside your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, B12 is playing another starring role. Your mitochondria are responsible for taking the food you eat and converting it into the main energy currency of your body, a molecule called ATP. Vitamin B12 works as a critical team member, alongside other nutrients like folate and iron, to keep this energy production line moving. When you are sleeping, your mitochondria are not dormant. They shift their focus from high energy output for daily activities to a phase of restoration and repair. They clean up the oxidative damage, the cellular rust that was created during the day, and they prepare your muscles with enough energy for the next day's activity. If your B12 levels are low, this entire restoration cycle falters. The power plants can't efficiently repair themselves or recharge, and you wake up feeling that deep, cellular fatigue that coffee can't seem to touch. The science on this is becoming incredibly clear. A 2021 study published in Frontiers in Nutrition looked at athletes and found that those with higher levels of vitamin B12 in their blood had significantly better muscle recovery, higher energy output during exercise, and reported less fatigue after intense training. Another study in the journal Nutrients demonstrated that B12 supplementation actually improved mitochondrial biogenesis. That's a fancy term for the creation of new mitochondria. Essentially, having enough B12 helps your body build more power plants in your cells, which is a key factor not just for muscle endurance but for overall longevity and healthy aging. The nighttime connection here is crucial. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone and activates the genes responsible for repair and detoxification. Vitamin B12 is essential for supporting this process. Maintaining healthy methylation patterns ensures those genetic instructions for repair are clear and precise. It also plays a vital role in controlling a substance called homocysteine. You can think of homocysteine as a natural but potentially toxic byproduct of your metabolism, like exhaust from a car. B12 helps to convert homocysteine into something useful, effectively recycling it. When B12 is low, homocysteine levels can rise, and elevated homocysteine is linked to a host of problems, including muscle weakness, impaired recovery, and mitochondrial stress. By ensuring you have adequate B12 at night, you help your body keep homocysteine levels low, supporting a clean, efficient, and powerful mitochondrial regeneration cycle. Let's use a simple analogy to tie this all together. Imagine your muscles are a complex electrical grid for a city. As we discussed, vitamin D is like the crew that comes in at night to restore the physical wiring, the structure of the grid itself. Vitamin B12, on the other hand, is the technician that recharges the batteries in all the power stations that send energy through that grid. You absolutely need both. Strong wires are useless without power, and a fully charged battery is useless if the wires are broken. Both are necessary for the city to light up in the morning, and B12 is what keeps that energy flowing smoothly and reliably. As a practical note, when you are looking at B12 supplements, the form matters. For best absorption and immediate use by the body, especially for these nighttime processes, it's ideal to choose a form called methylcobalamin. This is the active form that your body can use right away to support those crucial methylation reactions. The more common and cheaper form, cyanocobalamin, has to be converted by your liver first, a process that can be inefficient for some people. Taking the active methylcobalamin form is like giving your cells the exact tool they need, right when they need it. Now that we understand the individual roles of these two powerhouses, let's explore the truly fascinating part. Let's discuss the synergy between them and the emerging science of how timing your nutrients can change everything. It's time to talk about the power of chrononutrition. Most of us think of vitamins as static things. You take a pill, your body absorbs it, and the job is done. But biology is infinitely more elegant and dynamic than that. Your body doesn't operate like a simple machine, it operates like a symphony. Your metabolism, your hormone levels, even the activity of the receptors on your cells, they all fluctuate in a predictable rhythmic cycle across 24 hours. This internal timing system, known as the circadian rhythm, is not just about making you feel sleepy or awake. It is the master regulator of virtually every cellular process in your body, including muscle repair, your immune response, and your energy metabolism. Here's what is happening at a microscopic level. Nearly every single cell in your body, from your brain to your liver to your muscles, contains its own internal clock. These individual clocks are all synchronized by a master clock in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Think of it as a central conductor synchronizing thousands of musicians. These clocks dictate when specific enzymes are most active, when certain hormones should be released, and when your cellular repair mechanisms should turn on. And your muscle tissue, in particular, follows a very distinct rhythm. It is programmed to prioritize performance and breakdown during the day, and shift into a state of intense recovery and building at night. This nighttime anabolic window, as it's often called, is when growth hormone peaks, melatonin rises, and the genes responsible for protein synthesis and mitochondrial repair are switched on to their highest level of activity. This is where the concept of nutrient timing, or chrononutrition, becomes so incredibly powerful. This emerging field of science studies how the timing of our nutrient intake affects our metabolism and gene expression, and the findings are revolutionary. Landmark studies from institutions like the University of California and the Salk Institute have shown that our ability to absorb and utilize vitamins and minerals is not constant. The activity of the nutrient transporters in our gut and our cells follows these same circadian patterns. What this means is that there are specific windows of opportunity, times of day when our body is exceptionally receptive to certain nutrients. And as we've discussed, both vitamin D and vitamin B12 appear to have windows of maximal utilization that align perfectly with this nighttime recovery phase. Taking them in the evening allows your body to leverage these natural, pre-programmed rhythms instead of working against them. We've already seen how vitamin D interacts with melatonin to modulate calcium and gene expression during the deep phases of sleep. But what's also fascinating is that vitamin B12, in turn, influences melatonin synthesis and can help reset the circadian clock itself by affecting light-sensitive neurons. So when you take them together in the evening, they don't just support muscle recovery independently, they work together to optimize the very quality of your sleep, allowing for deeper, more restorative rest. That synergy can be the difference between just sleeping and truly, deeply rebuilding. Think of your body as a team of highly specialized workers on a very precise schedule. Let's say the master repair crew is scheduled to work from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. If you deliver the building materials, the vitamins, and cofactors at noon, they might just sit in a warehouse, unused. The crew isn't there, and the machinery is powered down. But if you deliver those same high-quality materials right at 10 p.m., just as the crew is clocking in and the machinery is warming up, the work becomes incredibly efficient. Every tool is used, every task is completed on schedule, and the repair job is done to perfection. This is precisely why evening supplementation with vitamin D and B12 can be so transformative. It works with your body's natural rhythm. It respects the elegant timing that millions of years of evolution have programmed into our biology. The rhythm of stress and activity by day, and the rhythm of recovery and repair by night. Let's dive even deeper into that synergy. By now, we've established that vitamin D acts as a hormonal regulator, the foreman giving the orders for muscle repair. And vitamin B12 is the fuel technician, powering the methylation and mitochondrial processes that supply the energy for that repair. But the way these two vitamins interact at a molecular level is where the real magic happens. Their relationship isn't a coincidence. It's a beautifully designed biochemical partnership. When both are present in optimal amounts and timed correctly, they create a cellular environment that accelerates regeneration, stabilizes energy metabolism, and strengthens muscle tissue far beyond what either nutrient could ever achieve on its own. Let's go back to that genetic level. Vitamin D operates primarily by binding to its receptor in the muscle cells, which then activates the blueprints for hundreds of genes related to muscle protein synthesis and calcium transport. It sends out the order: build this protein, transport this mineral. However, for a gene to be activated, for that blueprint to actually be read and executed, it often requires those little sticky notes we talked about, the methyl groups. The process of methylation has to happen for the genetic machinery to run efficiently. This is where vitamin B12 steps directly into the picture. As a crucial coactor in the methylation cycle, B12 is responsible for ensuring there is a ready supply of those methyl groups. It does this by helping to convert homocysteine into methionine, a molecule that can then donate its methyl group. So, even if vitamin D is present and is sending out the repair order loud and clear, if there isn't enough B12 to run the methylation machinery, the cell can't efficiently execute the program. The order is given, but the workers don't have the permit to start construction. In simpler terms, vitamin D sends the work order, and vitamin B12 delivers the building permit. You must have both for the project to begin. And again, research powerfully supports this synergistic relationship. A 2020 study published in Nutrients discovered that individuals who had optimal levels of both vitamin D and vitamin B12 had significantly higher muscle strength, better mitochondrial function, and faster post-exercise recovery compared to people who were deficient in just one of those nutrients. Having one without the other gave some benefit, but having both created a result that was greater than the sum of its parts. Another important investigation in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism reported that co-supplementation of vitamin D and B vitamins dramatically improved neuromuscular coordination and reduced fatigue among older adults, a population that, as we know, often struggles with age-related muscle loss and poor sleep quality. Beyond just muscle, these two vitamins also work together to stabilize your circadian signaling. As we touched on, vitamin D helps modulate the production of melatonin through its influence on serotonin pathways. Meanwhile, B12 helps to reset the biological clock by influencing the light-sensitive neurons in your brain. Taking them together at night creates a powerful duo that enhances both the depth and the restorative quality of your sleep. And it is during that deep, high-quality sleep that your body's release of growth hormone surges and cellular repair truly accelerates. This is how you can turn your sleep into a powerful, active period of rejuvenation. So, now that we have covered all of this essential science, it's time to translate it into action. Let's bring it all together into a final, practical framework. Here is how you can apply this science in your daily life, with specific strategies and routines to help you rebuild muscle more efficiently and enhance your health. We'll walk through a simple, 5-step plan. Step number 1, optimize your timing. This is the foundational principle everything else is built on. The ideal window for taking your vitamin D and vitamin B12 is in the evening, roughly 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to go to bed. The goal is to have these nutrients circulating at their peak levels, right as your body's natural production of melatonin begins to rise and your system prepares to shift into its deep repair cycle. It's best to take them alongside a small meal or snack that includes some healthy fats, like a few walnuts, a spoonful of almond butter, or a drizzle of olive oil. This aligns with your body's circadian rhythm and, as we discussed, the healthy fat ensures optimal absorption of the vitamin D. Step number 2, choose the right forms. Not all supplements are created equal, and the form of the vitamin can make a significant difference in its effectiveness. For vitamin D, you want to choose vitamin D3, which is also known as cholecalciferol. This is the exact form that your body naturally produces when your skin is exposed to sunlight. It is far more bioavailable and longer lasting in the body than the plant-based form, D2. For vitamin B12, as we discussed, you want to select methylcobalamin. This is the active form that can be used immediately by your cells for methylation. The synthetic and more common version, cyanocobalamin, requires your liver to convert it first, a step that can be inefficient and reduces its immediate impact on those nighttime repair processes. Step number 3, pair with supporting nutrients. Vitamins rarely act alone in the body. They are part of a complex web of interactions. To enhance the effectiveness of your nighttime routine, ensure you are also getting adequate intake of a few key minerals. Magnesium is chief among them. It acts as a critical cofactor for the activation of vitamin D in your body, and it also plays a huge role in muscle relaxation and calming the nervous system at night. Vitamin K2 is another important partner. It works with vitamin D to help direct calcium into your bones and muscles where it belongs, preventing it from building up in arteries. Finally, zinc is another mineral that supports tissue repair and immune function, complementing the regulatory role of vitamin D. You can get these from a balanced diet or consider a well-formulated multimineral supplement. Step number 4. Integrate with whole food sources. While supplements are excellent for filling in nutritional gaps and ensuring optimal levels, your foundation should always be real, whole food. For vitamin D, try to include fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, sardines, or mackerel in your diet a few times a week. Pasture-raised eggs and some fortified dairy or non-dairy milks are also good sources. For vitamin B12, the best sources are animal-based. Prioritize high-quality options like grass-fed beef, liver, lamb, and eggs. For those who follow a predominantly plant-based diet, supplementation with B12 is not just a suggestion. It is essential, as there are no reliable plant sources of this vitamin. Step number 5. Align your lifestyle for recovery. Finally, remember that these nutrients can only do their best work when your body is in the right physiological state. You can enhance their effects by practicing good sleep hygiene. This means aiming for a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends. It means minimizing your exposure to the bright blue light from screens like televisions, computers, and phones for at least an hour or two before bed, as this light can suppress your natural melatonin production. It's also wise to finish any intense exercise at least a couple of hours before bed to allow your nervous system time to wind down. Consider creating a brief, calming wind-down routine. This could be a few minutes of deep breathing, some gentle stretching, or simply reading a book in a dimly lit room. These signals help your body and mind transition smoothly and fully into recovery mode. So, let's paint a picture of what a practical, ideal evening might look like. Imagine you finish a healthy dinner around 7:30 p.m. With that meal, or shortly after, you take your vitamin D3 and your methylcobalamin B12, perhaps with a small piece of dark chocolate for some healthy fat and magnesium. Afterward, you dim the lights in your home, turn off the overheads, and use softer lamps instead. You put your phone away and spend some time talking with family or reading. By 9:30 or 10 p.m., you feel naturally sleepy. You go to bed, and as you drift off, your body's coordinated repair program kicks into high gear, now fully supplied with the precise tools it needs, at the precise time it needs them. That is how you translate this powerful science into a simple, repeatable, and life-enhancing daily routine. So let's bring this all together. The idea that your muscle recovery, your strength, and your morning energy depend solely on how much protein you eat or how much fish oil you take. That idea is outdated. Real regeneration. The kind that rebuilds your tissue, restores your energy, and strengthens your body at its very foundation, happens through a precise biological orchestration. And that orchestration depends on the right micronutrients, communicating directly with your genes and your mitochondria, all in perfect time with your body's natural rhythm. We've seen that omega-3 seconds play an important but secondary role. They are the peacekeepers. But the real repair, the active rebuilding, happens when vitamins like D and B12 are there to activate the machinery of recovery. Vitamin D signals your muscle cells to rebuild. Vitamin B12 fuels the processes that make rebuilding possible. And timing is what synchronizes it all with your body's powerful nighttime renewal cycle. You've made it through all of this science, and what you've just discovered isn't just a tip about 2 vitamins. You have learned the language of your body's own internal clock. You've learned how to work with your biology, not against it. That is the power to take back control of your own recovery, from the inside out. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, and I'm not asking you to change everything overnight. I want you to do just one thing. Just choose one small piece of this to start with. Maybe it's simply the act of dimming the lights a little earlier tonight. Or perhaps it's enjoying a small handful of almonds before bed. Even a 10-second change. That is how every meaningful transformation begins. And to help build a community of us who are all on this path together, if you feel inspired to take that first step, please comment with the simple words, "Ready to rebuild," down below. I read every single comment, and it's a powerful way for us to connect on this journey. And finally, please remember this. You are so much stronger and more resilient than you think. Your body has a profound innate wisdom to heal and repair itself. Your journey to reclaiming your vitality. It's just getting started. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so we can continue to walk this path together.